Well now, 1 week, two big stories coming out of Montreal surrounding the Montreal Canadiens. Let's get you caught up. Seriously, forget the game scores. The big news surrounding the Montreal Canadiens last week was another major injury to report and a big, fat new contract getting signed. Sorry, Josh Anderson. An empty net goal for your first goal of the season does not qualify as big news for the week. But be sure you stick around because I have a question for you later in the show. Let's start with the cringe. Alex Newhook. 22-year-old Alex Newhook. Kent Hughes paid a big old price to get him during the draft, right before the draft earlier this summer. And he is the latest to crop up on the extended injury report for the Montreal Canadiens. Out 10 to 12 weeks with a high ankle sprain. That's a lot of time. And I know maybe it's just me. Maybe it's kind of like a trauma reaction that we've spent the past 2 seasons watching the Montreal Canadiens set new records and then break their own records for man games lost in the NHL per season. But this season already is starting to feel eerily and awfully familiar. This is coming off the heels of, they completely overturned the medical staff in Montreal. And I'm not saying that anything that's going on with the Canadiens right now in terms of injuries is medical staff related. But part of the reason for all of the turnover with the medical staff was to help cut down on the man games lost. And it's just the injury gods just do not seem to like the Montreal Canadiens these last few years. And so there goes another promising young player, another solid piece for the Canadiens roster as they're trying to create good opportunities for their young prospects by having some solid experienced players around them. Oh boy, does it just never end. Let's refresh our memories, right? So Newhook is the latest. Kirby Dach out for the season. David Savard has been out for a very long time. Raphael Harvey-Pinard, where's he been? He's been out for an extended period of time as well. Jordan Harris is out as well. And Arber Xhekaj has been out as well. He at least has just recently this week been activated off of injury reserve. And we'll see how soon that he starts to get playing some hockey. But the injury list is piling up again this season. Think that's something we'd all like to see come to a very rapid stop. Of course, the other big news out of Montreal this week was goaltender Sam Montembeault inking a 3-year contract extension. 3 years at $3.15 million per. Was anyone else surprised at this? My big reaction, this is not an admonition of Sam Montembeault at all, but my initial first reaction was just, what was the rush? Montreal is riding a 3-goaltender rotation right now. Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton have both repeatedly said since the beginning of the season, and even Hughes mentioned it as recently as Montembeault's press conference over the weekend, that no, this is not an ideal situation to have 3 goaltenders rotating. They did not intend for this to be a season-long thing, but they're kind of working with it right now as they can. But that Montembeault getting locked up was something that was a priority for them because Kent Hughes didn't want to lose him in free agency next year. Well, that's all fine and good. If you've decided that Sam Montembeault is going to be your guy moving forward, I've got no qualms if that's what you want to do and sign him to your contract. 3 years, okay. 3.15, I don't know that I love the salary on this one. But why now? Why now when we know that there have been plenty of rumors that there are multiple teams that have been calling about goaltenders, and if it is still a possibility leading up to the trade deadline that you could move one or more of these goaltenders, you've now made it more difficult to move Sam Montembeault. I understand Kent Hughes probably doesn't want to. That's obviously why he inked him to a contract extension. But at this stage of the game, all 3 of them have to be available and potentially up for a trade if the price is right. And now you've made it a bit more difficult to move Sam Montembeault because now he comes with a brand spanking new 3-year contract at over $3 million a year. So we will see how this shakes out. Obviously, one of those goaltenders likely has to move before the trade deadline. I actually believe Jake Allen has done a very admirable job to start the season. Montembeault, to be quite honest, has had some shaky performances, and I have definitely watched Sam Montembeault let in some glaringly soft goals this season. Jake Allen's had a couple of those as well, but his performances for me have been much more solid than Montembeault's so far this season. So I'm just I'm a little surprised that this was just such a priority at this stage in the season. And obviously, a solid solution needs to be obtained at some point sooner rather than later. Jakub Dobeš is not going to be ready to come up and be a backup next year. Jakub Dobeš is probably a couple of years, maybe even 3 years away from being an NHL goaltender. I'll hedge that a little bit and say 2 more years in the AHL for him. And that's not a reflection of his talent. Goaltending is the hardest position and takes the longest amount of time to develop to make it into the NHL. And so he is just starting. I mean, he has 2 months of pro game experience in the AHL under his belt. He's going to take some time. And so there has to be a plan in the interim. It looks like Kent Hughes thinks it's Sam Montembeault and question mark as to who the other one's going to be. We'll have to see how this all plays out. So my question for you is, what do you think about it? Do you like the Sam Montembeault contract? Do you think this was the right time to do it? Do you think it was right to sign him to an extension? Do you like the term? Do you like the salary? Or do you not? And who do you think is going to be the goaltender that gets moved on? Leave me a comment down below. Would love to hear from you on this one. It's certainly a controversial topic among Habs fans, media members alike. Everyone seems to have an opinion on what's going on in the crease for the Montreal Canadiens right now. Hey, won't you do me a favor? If you haven't done so already, take a second to just tap that subscribe button. We don't ever want you to miss an episode of this show, Rocket Hockey Report, or Canadiens Connection here on the channel. Tap the like button, hit the notification bell. We are going to have live Habs games watch-along parties coming on the channel soon, where you can interact with the hosts, watch the Habs game along with them, and have your commentary go back and forth. It's going to be a ton of fun. We don't want you to miss any of it. So hit that subscribe button. And hey, like I said, Jakub Dobeš, it's going to take some time. Goaltending is the longest to develop. The other position that takes some time to develop is at defense. And another prospect that has a big question mark as to how far away he is from NHL play, that is one young David Reinbacher. And if you missed it, on last week's video, I gave you an update on how David Reinbacher's season has been going so far this year over in Cloton. Was it good? Is it bad? Should we be worried? Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. So click that right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.